Hi guys, Hannah here. So welcome back to our third, fourth and final episode of the little series on uncommon instruments. And this week we have the lovely Sarah Marsh with us, who will be discussing the Crumhorn, which is this awesome instrument, and she'll even be playing it, which I'm not going to bother trying. So with no further ado, Sarah, over to you. So welcome, Sarah. This is my lovely friend Sarah.
Hi.
Who is, well, you tell us what your instruments are generally, what your main instruments are.
Well, my main sort of normal, in inverted commas, instruments are the bassoon and recorders, but I also play early music instruments.
How about the oboe?
I used to play the oboe, but I made the conversion when I was about 15 from the oboe to the bassoon, and I was able to keep them both going for a while, but the two are actually completely incompatible once you get to a certain level, and I had to choose one, and I went with the bassoon.
Fair play. There's not enough bassoonists in the world. I can't believe I just said that. Okay, so we're here to talk about an uncommon instrument. So, what have you got? Is it an upside down umbrella handle?
Okay, yeah, so it is an upside down umbrella handle, yeah. Okay, so if I press one of these buttons, it'll open up into a brolly, and I can use it to shelter from the rain. No, this is a Crumhorn, which was popular in the Renaissance, so it would have been played in basically the Tudor times. It would have been played in the times of Henry VIII, Elizabeth I.
Give us dates for that, Sarah, just for those people who aren't as familiar. Ish.
I haven't a clue.
Oh, so you're looking at sort of 16th century.
No, 16th and 17th.
Century.
Yes. I can't remember. I can't remember the exact dates, but I think certainly a lot of English viewers, if I say Henry VIII, Elizabeth I,
yes,
would
but
be
for those of
fairly familiar.
For those away from England, it's So you're looking at the 1500s, 1600s, which is the 16th and 17th century.
Yes. So it's the kind of thing you might have found in the orchestra pit in Shakespeare's Globe Theatre.
Oh, wow,
things like that.
So that would have been a very common instrument.
It would have been a very common instrument. Yes, Henry VIII composed for it because he was quite a musician himself.
Is that, well, yes, because Greensleeves, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. What part of the orchestra is this dude normally be in? Because I'm thinking it's the Henry VIII equivalent of the clarinet in many ways, as in the commonness of the clarinet. But obviously, I can't see any reed, so it's nowhere near like the clarinet. So tell us what's going on in this umbrella handle.
So this is a woodwind instrument, and it's a type of instrument you don't see anymore called a windcap instrument. So it is actually a double reed, and if I just gently take the cap off, there is a double reed. It's actually very similar to a slightly smaller version of the reed that you'd get on a bassoon. This is plastic, and the bassoon reed would be actual cane material. You can actually play it direct off the reed, but it's not particularly easy. So that goes over the top. And what it means is you don't have to have a kind of specialised embouchure that you would need to play a modern double reed instrument.
So what do you mean by embouchure? Tell us what you're talking about.
Basically, to play an oboe or bassoon, you have to basically...
Can you show us that on that reed again?
Pull your lips back. Okay.
There you go.
And basically, what that requires is an awful lot of muscle development. So, if you start off with a modern double reed instrument like the oboe or the bassoon, anyone who's ever learning will tell you can only play it for very short periods as you develop and build up these muscles.
Yes.
And certainly on the bassoon, you have to adjust that quite a lot for the higher and lower pitched notes, whereas the crumhorn, you can literally just pick it up.
Because there is a cap on the reed.
There is a cap on the reed, yes. So it's very the same what sort of way you could pick up a recorder and just play it.
Awesome. So what else is going on with it then? What part of the orchestra pit? It would have been in the woodwind, but what kind of things? Was it a solo instrument, or what? Tell us more.
Anything really. This was definitely an ensemble instrument, but I think in the Renaissance, music was much more of a participant thing than it is now. Now you listen to music. In those days, you would have joined in with it. They're quite simple to play, so it didn't necessarily require specialised musicians. The specialised musicians will probably be playing things like the lute, the stringed instruments that require a lot more skill, or the brass, so things like the cornet, which is a very very simple brass instrument, or the sackbut, which is like the trombone. The more specialised woodwind instruments would have been things like the serpent, which is literally what it sounds like. It's a long curly instrument. The racket, and another instrument called the Rauschpfeife, which I believe we're going to talk about in a longer video.
We will indeed.
Yeah, so in the Renaissance, you wouldn't have an orchestra in the sense that we have one now. You'd have groups of probably anything from 3 to 8 or 10 musicians, mainly playing dance music or songs. And as I said, this is one of the simplest of the reed instruments, because you can literally just pick it up. As you can see, it hasn't got a great range compared with, say, the clarinet nowadays, which I think is 3 octaves, possibly even more. But
so it's only really got, what is that? Was it an octave?
An octave and a bit.
Yeah,
yes.
And it's so easy to play that even I managed to get a sound out of it when I first came. So it is a very easy instrument, where a lot of instruments, as Sarah says, you're not going to get a sound out of them when you first start, because they're just so difficult to get that pressure correct.
Yeah. The hardest thing actually when you start with the crumhorn and you're not used to the tone it makes, particularly actually with the bigger ones, the tenor and the bass, is learning not to laugh, because the bass crumhorn in particular can sound very rude. The other thing with the crumhorn and most of the reed family actually is that they have the identical fingering to the equivalent recorder. So this is an alto crumhorn, so it's more or less identical fingering to the treble recorder, which is its equivalent in the recorder family. So you get soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Yes. Crumhorn. Yes.
Do you get like the uber small piccolo one?
No. I mean, the soprano can be temperamental enough. So yes, it's usually just.
What can I say? It's always the case.
It's usually just it's basically the standard 4. But what you would do a lot in Renaissance music is you mix and match. So you can play the same piece on a different family of instruments, and it will sound totally different.
So do you mean like you could have, when you say mix and match, could you have like a crumhorn and a recorder, because recorders are from the same period?
Yes, absolutely. So often what you might do is bring in something like a descant or sopranino recorder on the top line for emphasis. So you might play something through on the reed instruments, and then the second time bring in a recorder, a high-pitched recorder, anything like that. You might play a piece on reeds, giving it a very sort of direct march type, and then you could play the same piece on recorders and get a very, very different take on it.
Can you just play something, because that's treble, did you say? This is treble.
Yeah.
So could you play something just briefly on that, and then would you mind playing it on, I'm holding a treble recorder in my hand.
Okay, right,
so compare and contrast. So the same thing now on a treble recorder to compare?
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. Wow, well, what more do you want to know about the Crumhorn? It's just a fantastic instrument, isn't it? It's wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. Sarah, thank you so much for showing us all about it. And guys, if you have any comments, do ask them below, make a comment below, and we'll get back to you. And if I don't know, very likely, then I'm sure Sarah will be able to give you the answer. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, we have an extended version of this over on our YouTube where we also talk about the Rauschpfeifer and the cornemuse. You can tell which is my favourite. So head over to YouTube now and have a look. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.